And Lori, this attack ad is funded by a Democratic Party Super PAC, and it focuses on Rossi's work as a former state senator and chief budget negotiator back in 2003.
But the record shows Rossi tried to cut health coverage for 46,000 kids.
This is a claim we've fact-checked before. It's true that an early version of the 2003 budget included a proposal to eliminate coverage for 46,000 children in the state Medicaid program. But that proposal did not pass. House Democrats pushed back and forced a compromise. Also, to give you more context about that budget year, the state was facing a significant shortfall at the time, and past reporting by the Seattle Times shows the Senate Republicans' budget plan actually had a lot in common with that of then Democratic Governor Gary Locke.
Raised bed taxes on nursing homes while making sure country club membership fees were exempt from taxes.
It's true that the budget did charge nursing homes a fee per bed per day, but the ad doesn't tell you the nursing homes actually asked the legislature for the tax as a way to increase the amount of federal dollars they received. As for the country club claim, the DCCC says that comes from this 2003 Seattle Times article that referenced House Democrats' long list of tax ideas. The article includes this line saying Democratic leaders couldn't even muster enough support to repeal a corporate tax exemption on country club membership dues. That exemption comes from this pretty broad state statute, which dates back to 1935, that applies to various types of organizations. A records search reveals House Democrats did propose legislation that would have limited the tax deduction in an effort to raise revenue during a difficult budget cycle, but the Democrats' effort to do that ultimately died.
And the State Department of Revenue helped to provide a lot of background on this topic today. Our research found that repeal proposal in the House did not make it out of committee. However, the various tax proposals by House Democrats would have certainly faced a lot of opposition in the Republican-controlled Senate. Meanwhile, a GOP super PAC is running a new ad targeting Dr. Kim Schreier and her medical practice. She's even had her campaign attorneys write a letter asking TV stations, including King, to stop running the ads. We aired a complete fact check on this ad in question right here on King 5 on Wednesday. In case you missed it on television, you can find it online. We have it there, king5.com/politics. Back to you.